You got more than a few years on you. You've probably got a whole bunch of memories. Various things that you've learned along the way or seen along the way, more correctly, seen along the way, that you remember that come back to you in the course of time. That's wonderful. That's a lovely thing. But I want you to understand something. There's a vast difference between memory and wisdom. I'll kind of get into the details of that. I was going to say something about when I was a young man, and I will discuss that later. But before I do that, I wanted to go ahead and say that this is in fact, the subject for today's little daily summation video from Kurt's Religion and Politics. That would be memory and wisdom. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. I'm glad to have you along today on YouTube, on Rumble, on the podcast, or wherever you happen to be coming from at this point in time. Hopefully it's one of those. I prefer Rumble, so if you really want to support what I'm doing, I would prefer it be Rumble for a couple of different reasons, but I'm not going to get into too much detail about that right now. Today is Wednesday, the 7th of April of 2021. I don't believe I've said that, and I am, if I have not said so yet, your host. My name is Kurt. Glad to have you aboard today. Aboard. There's that word again. One of the ones I'm trying to get away from, and it's very hard for me to do. So here's the thing. I have always been a person with a very good memory. I won't say I remember everything well, but I remember a lot of things well. I could bring a mainframe computer up without ever once using the book that was supposed to be for that purpose. And it was a 45-minute process. Really, truly, bona fide. If you could do it really quickly, it was a 45-minute process. My memory is good. Now, you may think I'm bragging, but the truth of the matter is, that's not all that wonderful a thing necessarily. As a young man, I didn't demonstrate or display a lot of wisdom. I didn't. And that's not surprising. I'm not sitting here saying, well, I was horribly much worse than anybody else where that's concerned. What I'm saying is that when you're younger, you have this idea that memory and even processing power, the ability to raw process information, is what really matters. But the truth is, knowing what to concentrate on, knowing what to concern yourself with, knowing what to remember, what not to worry about. Yes, you do largely have the ability to make that decision. Knowing those things makes a huge difference when it comes to, what's important. And you don't realize that a lot of times when you're younger. I sure didn't. I can't speak for everyone. Everyone's different, right? So I can't speak for everyone. But what I will tell you is that most younger people probably don't recognize that they are worried about stuff that's not important. So the fact that they have really good memories maybe doesn't matter very much. It's maybe not what's important or should be important to them. I know, looking at things as I've gotten older, I hope I've gotten wiser, and I think most people as they get older tend to do that, though some don't do it as well as others, and some do it way better than people like me probably even do. But the point is, I think that I've gotten wiser as I've gotten older, and I've learned that there are a lot of things that I can remember that maybe just aren't so significant or so important. Maybe I even thought they were when I was younger, by the way. Right? I might have even looked at them and gone, oh, that's really important. That's, whatever. But now I look at things and I realize that the view I've had on the world was one thing and it is another. And that's a matter of choice. I've carefully cut things out of my life that aren't important. I used to be, and this is going to seem unimportant, and in a sense it isn't, but in another sense it really is. I used to be a big soda drinker. I used to drink a ton of soda. My dad had almost no soda in his house when I was a kid. And I took that as an excuse to go hog wild on soda as I got older. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the details of what that means, what that ended up meaning to me. But one thing that it did mean, for a while there, I was plumb fat. Now, I'm not telling you that soda is totally responsible for what happened there. There were at least two things that matter in that. One is that I overdrank soda in a big way. Two is that there were other things I should have done, like exercise, like taking care of myself in other ways, that I wasn't doing. These were my fault. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, Coca-Cola is to blame for that. even though I don't like Coca-Cola at this point, even though I don't drink sugar water, fizzy sugar water with extra flavoring, even so, I'm not saying that. I will drink a periodic root beer if I happen to make my way to one of the pizza places in town that makes the root beer in-house, and I'll drink one or two, and that's it. I'm done. And it'll be months between, if not years, right? But the point of all of that is it affected my health in the course of time to drink all of that soda. I didn't think it was important because I didn't have the wisdom to see how that soda was affecting me. That's just an example. Obviously, there are many, many others. I used to be a horribly bad driver. I used to speed. I used to jerk around people and all of the silliness that young people do. I learned better. I see a lot of people my age who sadly have not done so because they don't realize the importance of wisdom. And unfortunately for many of them, the memory of things like being late, they attribute their being late to the fact that they didn't speed, and they're wrong. They're wrong. The point is, the memories didn't matter. It's the wisdom that does. And it changes your life. This morning I had somebody flash their headlights at me. Oh, there's a speed trap ahead. Duh, it's in front of the school, people. What did you expect? They periodically throw speed traps out in front of that school because they've told you you're not supposed to drive faster than the speed in front of that in that school zone. Guess what? My kid goes to that school. I don't drive faster than that speed in that speed zone. And by the way, I don't do that in general in speed zones. I just don't see the sense in it. It makes no sense to me. And wisdom tells me that it's better to get there 15 seconds later, which is typically what you shave off of your time anyway, than it is to get there half an hour later because of the cop writing you the ticket, which is always a possibility, right? And this is not some experience thing for me. How many speeding tickets have I had? Oh, well, let me tell you, the answer is a big fat goose egg. 0 speeding tickets. So this is not me looking at what I remember and saying that that's what's important. Yeah, okay, it's true that I have memories of other people getting copped by the local constabulary for speeding. That's true. But what's significant is the wisdom to realize that it literally can't save you more than probably 30 seconds for you to speed down the roads most of the time. You're not going to go far enough and you're not going to go fast enough for it to give you more time than that back. And in fact, by the time you hit the signaling traffic signals right, you're probably not going to get there hardly any faster. Let's face it. Here's the point. Here's what I'm getting at. What you remember is great. That you have a good memory, that's great. That's wonderful. And I mean, really, it is. It can be a real asset to you, and I'm not going to tell you otherwise. I'm not trying to put people down who have good memories. I'm not trying to put down people really who don't have good memories either. I would love it if they sought to kind of develop their memories, but that's some people are just not really designed to do the sort of thing that requires the sort of detail and memory that you might have. But what I will say to you is, I hope that you're working on improving your wisdom. I hope that you're trying to make yourself wiser. I hope that you're picking the memories that are important to you, and I hope that you're trying to work on doing better things as a rule, right? And this is the thing. Memories, yeah, they're okay. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's good. The more you can remember, it's good because the more you have to draw from. But the fact of the matter is, if you remember stuff that's unimportant in favor of stuff that's actually important, then you're probably wasting time. And this is part of wisdom, is to know what to remember, to know what to commit to memory, and to know what to not do that with, right? That's what's part of that. That's part of the important thing about wisdom. Wisdom is about knowing what the right thing is, and more importantly, wisdom is about doing the right thing based on what you know to be correct. So this is basically what I'm trying to get across today. I don't think this is super complicated, but I think a lot of people fail to recognize that what I'm saying is true. All right, I need to go ahead and wrap this up, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Again, this is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Glad to have you here today, whether to have had you, whether on Rumble, on YouTube, on the podcast. Thank you for coming and visiting with me today and listening through the entire video. Remember, I prefer for people to watch me on Rumble. It helps me. I'm not a fan of YouTube, and I am not really keeping up on the podcast. In the course of time, I hope to get back to that. Hope you're doing well today. Today is Wednesday, the 7th of April of 2021. That means tomorrow will be Thursday, the 8th of April of 2021. Our subject today has been memory and wisdom. Tomorrow we're going to talk about student loan forgiveness and why that's really a very bad idea. And there are a number of things that I'm going to get into there. Hope you're doing well today, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see you again tomorrow here on the Daily Summation. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video is recorded on Wednesday, the 7th of April of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.